What up and welcome to the Beneath the Dirt podcast. I'm your host, Rollin. Thank you for tuning in. We in the hot for a new special episode, another review. You know, I had to bring the homie JokerzGallery back. Was good.
What's good, y'all? Back again. You know it's gonna be a long one. Whenever me and Rome talking about albums, so buckle up. Get you a fucking snack.
Get some popcorn. Get some soda.
Get you some weed.
Yeah. Chill out. Definitely get you some weed for this episode.
Yes, sir.
Because we Rollin Stoned on this one. And yeah, we break down these albums. I was telling you in the pre-show, like, I love doing these reviews with you because it's just, you know, deep dive like a motherfucker on all these albums that we do.
Yeah, once we started reviewing the albums, I was watching other people's reviews and noticed they're in like 10, 15, 20 minutes and me and Rome be going an hour and a half. Like yep. Deep diving that shit.
Hell yeah. Super dope. Usually I thought about this. You got the 5-piece. Why don't you plug all your shit right here in the beginning?
Got 5-piece Fago Lovers every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The homie Mike Sears, check that Speak Your Cloud out every Saturday. Luke the Goon, LukeTheGoon.com. He's managing SON, managing Dean, managing Noise, doing big things. So check all them dudes out from the Goon's Cloud Gallery as well.
Luke the Goon, Paul Heyman of the Underground right now.
Straight up. Called him the Larry King of the Underground because he's doing interviews. He switched it up to the Paul Heyman.
Yes, sir. Super dope. Yeah, you guys killed on the 5-piece. Could definitely go check that shit out on the Fago Lovers YouTube channel.
Appreciate it, man.
Hell yeah. But we here, Rollin Stoned, Kottonmouth Kings, October 8th, 2002, 20 years. Time fucking flies by, man. I feel old as shit. Every one of these new anniversaries that pop up, I feel more geriatric by the fucking day.
And like especially this year because there was so much good music released in this like time frame of where it was either 20 or 10 or you know whatever that we've been celebrating on 5-piece, man. These records are hitting 15, 20, sometimes even 30 years old whenever you get up to like some Isham and fucking ICP shit. So yeah, it make you feel old as fuck remembering back. I got my first Kottonmouth Kings tattoo when this album came out, so I've legit had a fucking tattoo, been rolling with the motherfuckers until I'm fucking 6 feet under for fucking 20 years. That's crazy.
Hell yeah. And this album right here is a fucking banger. This is the third album. After Johnny Richter had rejoined the band, they released High Society, Hidden Stash 2, which I consider that an album. I don't think that was like leftovers. That felt like a brand new album. They just named it Hidden Stash. And then we got Rollin Stoned. I feel like this is the album where they really tuned into that sound that they started with High Society and just nailed it down.
Yeah, that's what I got written in my notes. I think this is the first album that's 100% made from scratch with Richter because this is what the Kottonmouth Kings were going to sound like moving forward. And that's the first time you could really spotlight it. I think, like you said, with Hidden Stash 2, that was new stuff, but I think it was stuff that was being put together before Richter got in there fully. And same with High Society. I know Saint was writing some of those songs before he got kicked out even. So I think this is the first time you've seen what Kottonmouth Kings was going to be for the next decade whenever you heard this one, because there's a lot more acoustics, a lot more rip hop, a lot more singing than you would get on even like High Society once it is Richter on the album. It just wasn't fully like Richter flavor. You could tell that he was in the studio the whole time for this one, and his melodies and his singing really show off the new style that they were going to take it in.
Oh, for sure. He brought a whole different vibe to Kottonmouth Kings. You know, when they first started out with Saint, you know, they dropped the Stoners Wreaking Havoc EP, Royal Highness, and then the first Hidden Stash. That was like really raw, aggressive shit. And they really switched it up with High Society, just a completely different sound. But with this album, like you said, with Richter's singing and all that shit, and then they really got that rip hop shit down on this album too, whereas like Richter had more to offer than just sing or just rapping. Like he could provide those harmonies and shit. It's even Daddy X on here with the harmonies and stuff on here too. He was doing it a little bit, maybe on Hidden Stash too, but really on this album as well. And his hook game, like you could tell with this album, another point is Daddy X influence. You can hear it as they progressed to this album. Like, I think he taught these guys how to write songs and all, put shit together. Like he was producing these guys for real.
Yeah, and then you talked about like the rip hop coming in. That's when he was able to go back to like his old school punk rock mentality. He's writing the choruses and the song structures for the shit. So he was a big part of this. I think like you look at Royal Highness, it's like D-Loc and Saint dominating it. And then you look whenever this album comes out, you can tell the songwriters are more Richter than and X. Two different, totally different guys. That's why it sounds so different. You could think it was a different band because it's literally two different dudes writing the first album to writing this album. So just a lot of different flavor for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. And it works really well. Like they experimented a lot on this album, but it fucking worked. I remember like the build up for this album, it was like High Society was dope. They were getting better with Hidden Stash 2, like really building that sound. So when they announced this one, I was like, all right, I'm ready for this one for sure.
And it's funny you talk about how it's so much different but still good. I remember at the first gathering, it was going to be like the first time Kottonmouth had performed with Richter, and it was whenever High Society just came out, and I was expecting to hate the shit. I was wanting to hate on that motherfucker because he took Saint's place, and like Saint was my fucking dude, man. He's always my favorite member of the Kings. As soon as I heard that motherfucker, he sounds like me. The first time I ever heard anybody from a rap group, it sounded like he was from Kentucky, but I heard Saint, and it was like, damn, that motherfucker sounds like me and everybody I chill with. And I was expecting to hate Richter, man. And he came out and schooled it so fucking dope on the stage at the gathering. I even told him when I met him, I'm talking about the first gathering when I was going to hate on him. And then 10 years later at the 10th gathering, I met him. I even told him the story. I was like, man, the first time I seen you was at the first gathering. I wanted to hate you, but you was so damn fucking nice on the mic, man. I had to give you props.
That's fucking hilarious. That is funny. I remember when High Society came out, Richter was in the group. I didn't want to like it either. I'll be honest.
They didn't tell anybody.
Right.
Like,
it was just like you opened it up and you see us do it a fro. You're like, who the fuck is this?
And 9 other guys. And they put 9 other guys in the picture so you don't notice the fucking main dude from the first album ain't there. Daddy X said they did that on purpose so the record label wouldn't notice.
Right. But
so they were keeping it hush hush. So it was a shock.
But you could it was hard to hate on because it was fucking good. It was still really good. It was different sound, but it was still really good.
Yeah, it was so good. It was one of the things that I remember after their performance at the gathering, their merch booth was just blowing up. Like, I guess people were kind of skeptical like I was. And it's like, I don't know if I'm going to fuck with this new Kottonmouth King, so I ain't going to buy this merch. But once they got on stage and schooled it, man, there was mad people fucking buying merch all of a sudden. Shout out to Pac, the only person that was smoking weed in view of the cops, because this isn't like crazy gathering area. This is like gathering being indoors and the concert venue just being outside in a parking lot. So cops are parked up and down the fucking thing, like just able to tell people to stop smoking. They can't like pull people out, but they, ain't nobody gonna smoke when a fucking cop's just staring at you. Right. Pop comes out with a fucking sign that says "fuck you, I smoke weed," and just flicks off the cops as he's smoking the whole time. So shout out to Pakalika at that first gathering too.
Pakalika did not give a fuck.
Didn't give one single fuck.
Yeah, hell no. Rest in peace, Pac. And Kottonmouth Kings is old school Juggalo shit too.
Yeah, like, for sure. They're as old school as Twisted. Them and Twisted basically came in at the same time, man. Like that Pumpkin Carver single from Hollow Wicked 98. They were both on that. They were touring with them at the same time. Like they were established the same exact time that Twisted was laying their roots down right after House of Crazies. It was fucking Kottonmouth Kings, Twisted, and then also another band that Juggalos was fucking with, was touring with them at the time, was Funk Junkies. So all those I remember, like Juggalos were fucking with heavy. Funk Junkies kind of fell off, but Kottonmouth Kings and Twisted, man, they stayed with it for the next 20 years.
Yep, old school Juggalo shit, man. Been fucking rocking with these dudes since the beginning, damn near.
Yeah, I mean, and it's talking about the beginning, the Royal Highness videos, Bobby B sporting ICP shirts in the video.
Yep, they're shouting out Juggalos and ICP and all their music. Super dope shit.
Same clown posse talking about chicken hunting.
Fire.
I knew whenever they said that line, we did that listening party with Mike, I was watching him, and I was like, watch, he go mark out for this. Watch. Yeah. And they said it, he smiled. I was like, got him.
Yeah, got him. I remember I marked the fuck out when I first heard that.
That's why I was watching, because whenever I heard that shit the first time, I was like, oh, shit. And he did the same thing 20 years later. That shit was dope.
All right, let's get into the album Rollin Stoned, 20 years. It's fucking crazy. Right off the bat, we got the intro. I'm pretty sure it's Daddy X's daughter doing some talking on here.
Yeah, I think so. Sky Blue, I think's her name.
Yep, Sky Blue. And it's basically just the Rolling Stone bus like you got on the cover of the CD showing up. Just get on the fucking ride. We're going. Not much to it, but
Yeah, just your typical intro. I probably listened to it 5 times in the 20 years this album's been out. I usually skip the Sleepers, the second track, start it off.
yep. And then it goes right into Sleepers. You know, I love how the intro at the end fades into Sleepers though, because then you get that big boom and then that beat. Dog, this song right here, one of their hardest fucking songs. Probably one of their most aggressive songs with Johnny Richter as well. Like that's just a straight rap song.
Yeah.
This shit is hard as fuck. The beat on here, I mean, Kottonmouth's production, Kuma guy, that dude is a fucking beast on production. That dude is nasty. And I just love this. So fuck you. Fuck all the people that be running their mouth. Like, I just love that shit, man. Just hard as fuck.
Yeah. Like with Saint, you got the aggression towards like society and like the government and shit like that. With this one, you're getting like the aggression towards people doubting them for being rappers that are white. So like they got another thing that they're motivated about. So I think this song shows that they were like 20 years ahead of the rap game. Because you think about it, like whenever they came out, people was like, white dudes rapping. Don't nobody like now give a fuck about if it's a white dude rapping or not. And then the other thing that really stood out when I went back and watched this video is they're 20 years ahead of the game because they're the first rappers that were like a mainstream established act that I remember on a big label that started shooting their own videos. And now you think of rappers today, they all shoot their own videos. And Kottonmouth Kings was doing that shit 20 years ago. So whenever I was listening back to it, I was like, this song kind of demonstrates how they were like 20 years ahead of the game. Like almost came around 20 years too early because now nobody would give a fuck if they were white dudes trying to rap. And then, like I said, you look at how rap's done now, like rappers film their own videos and shit. Like damn near every song from this album has a video because they just filmed it themselves. Like this video is just them in the back of like venues they're performing at on a tour. It's not even anything special. It's just, you can literally see a dude with a flashlight. I think it's like Chuggy Chug or something with a flashlight doing that shit, just giving them like light projection. That was the light, a flashlight. Just doing it DIY, man. Do it your fucking self.
Yeah, they were the front runners or whatever it is, like that independent do it yourself. Granted, this album came out on a major label, but they were like the do it yourself shit. They were doing DVDs and all that shit back in the day, like a ton of them.
Yep.
All their own videos.
Putting their own tours together. They weren't waiting for the label to put them on a tour to open for somebody trying to make them big. They're putting their own tours together through SRH.
Right. And they're like, why are you sleeping on us? We're out here fighting. And they were killing it at that time too. Like just their live show was amazing. Loved their live show. Pakalika on there, Lou Dog, fucking
with the lowrider drums.
Yep.
Lowrider drums were dope.
Shit was dope.
Oh yeah.
But Sleepers, one thing about Sleepers that I always heard, it was kind of a rumor that there were some lines in here that were directed towards Saint Dog because Saint Dog.
That's what I always heard too.
Yeah, because he had released this song. There was like a hidden track on his Spun Crazy album with Big Hoss called Ego Trippin'. And I had always heard that there were lines on here. And if you listen to it, I guess you could maybe say that it was a response. Like they never said any names or anything, but it was just weird that, you know, they would be, you know, that they were like dissing each other, disliked each other, you know?
Yeah, but thankfully that was squashed pretty quickly. I know like Saint within a couple years was back putting out records with him and making songs with him. He's on that Still Smoking song that was super dope from Hidden Stash 3. So thankfully, whatever it was, if it was any beef with him, they got squashed.
Very true. But yeah, that was one thing I had always heard. And one thing I always wanted to know was who is the bitch ass coward who fucking flooded Johnny Richter's house, and what is that all about? What is that all about?
Flooding your house, that's like something you see the Wet Bandits do on Home Alone to be dicks. Right. Like, who the fuck's pulling the Wet Bandit shit on fucking Johnny Richter?
Right. That's like it's exactly what I thought of too. Is Home Alone shit. I'm like, who's flooding Richter's house, and what the fuck is going on here?
Fucking wet bandits got his ass.
Yeah,
He
but
should have
this
set up some. He should have set up some micro machines and fucking Christmas ornaments by the window.
dude, it's fucking funny, but it's just every time, and it's like right in the
Random as
beginning.
fuck.
Yeah, random as fuck, and it's like right in the beginning of the song too, and it's but this is a dope ass song, man. Like the chorus on here, everything. We're the ones that you all slept on. Talk shit, you might get crept on. Daddy X was dope, and we'll be talking about it throughout this whole review. Just killing it on the hooks, really stepping his game up. He only had a couple verses on this album where he's rapping, which I like it that way. Um, but his influence producing these guys on this album is very apparent.
And I like where the song's placed in the album. It starts off perfectly, like you're talking about. The intro kind of fades into it. It's called Sleepers, and as soon as the fuck song hits, it wakes you up with that boom. So perfect.
Yep. And then we go right into Full Throttle. You get hit hard in the chest with Sleepers, and then Full Throttle, Rip Hop. Third song into the fucking album, and you could tell that they right off the bat mastered this rip hop sound with this song right here. This is probably my favorite rip hop style song that they ever did. The video for this shit is dope. You sent me a video of a director's cut that had like a different editing on it, which was dope. Had Pakalika dancing at the end and shit.
Yeah, I'd never seen that, man. In 20 years, I was searching it to watch the video whenever I was listening to the album because I remember the video being dope. And the one that popped up and it said the producer's cut or whatever. So whoever the chick was that produced it, like just put it up on YouTube, and it had like the credits for everybody that worked on the video. And Pakalika's dancing in like a driveway. So I'd never seen that shit before. So anybody wanting to peep that out, just search the video and it should come up.
Yep. It's a dope video. Just in general, I love this song. I love the way it be like starts out. When I'm done in my dying days, you probably figure out this ain't no phase. And then he just keeps going. Daddy X keeps going. It just builds up, and then it just goes right into that fucking to the rip hop shit, the punk shit, and that
Yeah.
shit is just hard. And then it goes back into the rap shit for the verses. Kuma guy killing it on the beats, man. I love. I'm not a big punk fan. I can't even say that I like any punk band, to be honest. But when Kottonmouth Kings did it, it was good to me. I liked it.
Yeah, I think that's another thing with Daddy X being able to influence it with his song structure and being able to write it well. He's a dude that grew up in like the punk rock scene, so he definitely knew how to write it. And then you got like Loke and Richter coming in with the verses, and it continues with the Sleepers vibe of being pissed off. Fuck everybody that said I couldn't rap. You're kicking fiction, I'm kicking facts. It's like that. You ain't nothing but a fag. Let me write it on my pad just to get you mad. So it's more talk about people just trying to talk shit about him not being able to rap. Richter pretty dope as well. Where you at right here, and there's plenty more coming. You see when the Kings is in the house, everybody comes running, meeting in the parking lot to smoke pot before the show's, hooking up with all the ladies, taking home all the hoes. And that was one of the dope things about the Kottonmouth Kings show, man. It was just a party in the fucking parking lot before and after. They kicked it with you. It was like they were your homies more than your fucking band you were going to go see that you have tattooed on your arm. You dig them so much. They'd be out in the crowd before the fucking show. Lou Dog be in the crowd pre-show, and then after Kottonmouth Kings, be in the crowd just kicking at people, giving people weed and shit. So it was just a party at a Kottonmouth Kings show. So I dug that fucking verse right there from Rick to keep up with the rip hop. You had to have the dope fucking hip hop. You had the dope punk rock from X. So you had to have the dope hip hop from Loke and Rick, and they delivered.
Absolutely. Their verses were super dope. I was gonna point out D-Loke's verse talking about, fuck everybody that said I couldn't rap. That shit is I love that shit. I feel like D-Loke stepped up his game on this album too.
I've heard a lot of people talk shit about D-Lo, but very seldom to ever hear him say he can't rap. And if you think that dude can't rap, go back to Royal Highness and listen to that shit, man. That motherfucker kills it on on this album as well. But Royal Highness is my favorite performance by him, like lyrically. But yeah, I could see why he was wanting to spout off a little bit. You was talking about the video being dope. It's like a house party. Reminds me of
Yeah.
like an old like almost like Gin and Juice, where you get to see them rolling up to the house party and then they walking through it. It's talking about how like random that flooding fucking verse was, flooding his house, Richter verse, how random it was. I always thought it was so random, like you're going through this house and there's just a chick tied up, sitting in a tub of water. I was like, what the fuck? That is random as fuck.
Yep.
So there's another random thing to go along with the fucking flooding your house line. But chick sitting in a tub of water tied up in the video.
Oh yeah. Fucking hilarious.
I forgot all about that, so I went back and watched the video this week. I was like, damn, that still fucking just sticks out as weird as fuck.
every few years, because I still have all those old school DVDs that they put out. I just get into a mood where I'm like, I just watch them, and that video is on a bunch of those DVDs, and it's just such a dope video. I love in the beginning they're riding around in the lowrider and shit.
Yeah,
Super dope.
hell yeah.
Next up, we got 420. This is like the first like party track right here. This is like classic Kottonmouth Kings. We just get fucked up, having good times. Love this, dude. It's in the beginning. It's like they're dialing like the operator. The time is exactly 420.
Whenever I got my first like cell phone that could play like shit for alarms, I had my like alarm on my like Nokia 2007 phone that whenever 420 would hit, that shit would come on. So like every day at 420, I'd hear that shit. This song's dope as fuck, man. Like right off the jump, I got two states of mind: stoned and asleep. First, I hit the sweet leaf, and then I have nice dreams. So I mean, right off the jump, you can tell what the song's about. Jumps right in about being like a pothead. It's 420, needed a fucking anthem, so they gave him one.
Yep. It's a banger too. It's this beat, you just be bobbing your head. Richter's flow when he comes in, D-Lo comes in behind him. One thing we've talked about it on different podcasts, how Saint Dog and D-Lo's back and forth is just legendary. Richter and Lokes back and forth is just as legendary as Saint and Lokes. They just ride off each other so well. It's such a dope ass track, man. I love Johnny Richter's verse. You catch me at the smoked out, dropping drinks, having the blast, not giving the fuck, doing my thing. I love that shit. The way he says it. And then he's talking about, he's got big fat packed bowls and had a chicken Caesar wrap to stop from throwing up and shit because he was getting too fucked up.
Yeah, eating too much, getting fucked up. I remember one time me and my homie Mooch and my cousin Josh went to like Evansville. It's like across the fucking river from here, and like we were going to strip clubs and shit, and we all got stoned before that, and we stopped at rallies, and like we got a bunch of shit because we was all stoned, but me and Mooch couldn't finish our shit because like we do not to fucking overindulge. My cousin is like hadn't smoked probably 4 or 5 times, so like he's just scarfing down everything he ordered plus what we didn't eat, and he didn't even make it to the strip club because he's home fucking puking. That's what I always think of whenever I hear that fucking part of the song. But I think like Richter schooled it, man. I already said a little bit of his verse, and then he's got another part: I stay blazed all day, no matter where I'm creeping, hot boxing on you, blocking on a spot on the weekend, you see smoke rising, just who could it be? It's my rhyming crime partner, D-LOC. Like they get criticized a lot, like even they're like talking about it, they get criticized for being like just weed rapping dudes that just rhyme weed together and only talk about weed, man. But that flow right there, man, that's fucking top quality, top shelf shit.
A real dude. Like these dudes are legit. I always hated that criticism, and it was always from people that didn't even listen to him. They would just write him off. It's like, dude, you won't even give it a chance. I'm not going to even take you serious because these dudes rap their asses off, man. It's it's not top tier lyrical miracle shit, but it's still fucking really good and really dope. They're saying dope shit on here.
Yeah, especially being mixed with all the shit we've been talking about with the rip hop shit. Right. And you also got like the acoustic like singing you'll get into later in this album on the finishing track. So there was just so much to it that it's not just traditional bars on bars, which I get bored of after fucking 4 songs if all you can do is just rap really well. Yeah. So I like people that make good fucking music and write good songs, and that's what this album shows. They could make some fucking dope ass songs with this fucking lineup that they had currently.
Absolutely. And the hook on here was so dope. It's like at 420, clocks is always altered. And then you got Richter in the background, you know, we talking pounds, roll that shit up. Like you mixing a little bit of harmonizing with the fucking X on the hook,
Yeah, and
hitting that other shit.
like how Loke and Richter were like trading off on the verse, like X and Richter were doing that on the chorus right there, like showing that, you know, a different dimension that you'd ever heard from. So definitely dope to hear that shit. And this, like I said, 420 needed a fucking song, and they gave them one. I had a wrestling gimmick called Smokey St. Odds, and I used this as my fucking entrance song. I was from 420 Mary Jane Lane. I came out with like a shirt that said Interstate 420, so of course I come out to the fucking song 420.
Yep. Hell yeah. Dope ass track. And then track 5 is the first of like 3 or 4 interludes from what's his name? Sweet Dick Willie, I think.
I couldn't even tell you. I skip all the interludes like so quickly.
Yeah. They're short. They're kind of funny. Like the first maybe it's like the first time listening to the album, it's just this dude. He was featured on like the DVDs and shit. I don't know. They just must get him fucked up, and he talks all this crazy shit. But yeah,
Yeah, I would skip those very quickly.
yeah. They
All the
normally
interludes.
yeah they normally do get skipped. But then we go into Enjoy, which right off the bat. So enjoy, my good friends. Make these good times last, because in this lifetime they come and go too fast. Dope. It's a dope hook from Daddy X, and basically just a song about enjoying life right now because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And this shit hits hard. It's not corny. It's not like some soft whack shit. This shit's dope.
This is something I would play at the bar once when I was working at the bar. Like once we got those jukeboxes where you could download shit and play anything you want, I'd play this song and people would dig it just because it's an upbeat, fucking good song, man. Like we talked about how people kind of dismiss them for only being dudes that rap about pot or whatever. There's not even a whole lot of mention of weed in this song, man. It's just them making a fucking really good song. I think D-Lo's probably got my favorite verse in the song. I'm constantly on one. My middle name's Dunn. I'm still spun from last night's vodka and rum. I popped a biscuit, got naughty with a hottie. Every honey in the party had a banging body. Like D-Lo, man, he could flow. He gets a lot of fucking like people saying that, you know, he's just a weed rapper and he just raps his name. He spells out D-Lo in his raps, and that's all he does, man. But
right.
I don't know, man. Look at these fucking raps, man. He's fucking on this shit right here.
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll break it down throughout the album that these guys aren't just fucking weed rappers, and it's clear through pretty much any of their albums. Of course, they're the Kottonmouth Kings. Of course, they rap about weed and shit, you know. But there's more to it, man. There's meaning behind the songs and shit. It's dope, you know. I like
That's how I know people that are talking shit about that never even bothered listening to them before they came up with that. They just looked at the titles of the albums and even like some of the titles of the songs, because their most popular songs are usually like weed songs, of course. But like they just looked at like the most popular songs on fucking Spotify and the names of the albums. Like, all these dudes just rap about nothing but weed. I'm good off that.
right. I like Richter's shit on here. My gas tank's to the top with a freshly picked crop. New album about to drop. Met a girl I liked a lot. Things is on the up and up. Like they never gonna stop. Eating meat that's butcher cut. Drinking sake at like
At a botch.
Yeah, like
that
just,
rich shit.
just talking about life is good right now. So that's what we're talking about right now. It's dope shit. X had a dope little verse on here too. I used to stay high. Now I'm zoned out. Had a shaved yes, but now it's grown.
Now it's grown out.
Dude, it's like
looks kind of fresh, yes indeed, when it's blown out. Broke as a joke, as low money's loaned out.
dope. Like X is not the greatest rapper out there, but it fits in good with the song, man.
The production on this song really helps it too. This song is produced perfectly. Like it sounds exactly how it needs to sound for the vibe they're trying to come off with the song. And then like listening back to it like 20 years in reverse or whatever, looking back at it now, it's kind of hits different when you think about how Kottonmouth Kings burn out and you fucking read the lyrics. So enjoy my good friends, make these good times last, because in this lifetime they come and go too fast. One day you're sitting on top, the next day you're falling off fast. Like you look back at it now, like
Yeah.
that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
So at least you know they were enjoying the fucking times. They knew
Yeah.
what they knew the shit could happen, and it went down like that. So that's what whenever I was listening to it back for the first time in a few years, I was like, damn, I was almost prophetic right there.
Damn, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, very true. Everybody knows 2012 hit and that shit just went whoop.
Straight up. So yeah, they were aware of it 10 years early. So at least they were enjoying the good times by then and knew shit might come to the end, and like it did.
Yes, sir. Dope track. And then we get into Positive Vibes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is really the first time where they were doing this style of song where it's just really slow, acoustic style shit, right?
Yeah, it's the first time I'd heard it. There might be
Yeah.
on like demos or something I haven't heard before, but the first like major album for sure.
Yeah, like um how this song in particular didn't get massive radio play boggles my mind. Like this is a radio song. Like this definitely could have followed up like, the or been as big as like the Suburban Life back in,
Oh yeah, for
98
sure.
on the Scream soundtrack. Cause this song, man, catchy as fuck, man. This is Johnny Richter finally coming into form, showing what he could do for the Kottonmouth Kings. And it's not just rap, it's bringing that harmonies and the singing and shit on this.
That's what my notes say almost verbatim. It says this is where you get to hear a new dimension to Kottonmouth Kings, Richter's vocal harmonies, something that would go on to become a huge part of Kottonmouth Kings moving forward. I mean, look at songs like Where I'm Going in 2009 off that album. It's an all-time classic. Like this is where the shit was laid down the first time you ever heard it, like you were talking about. X super dope in it as well, man. Like X just tends to shine on these songs. The more traditional rock songs, he always shows out a little bit more. Let the vibes blow like an ocean breeze. Mama always told me there'll be days like these. Keep your head righteous, do as you please. Don't ever interfere with the evil man's scheme. Keep your heart pure, conceive your own dream. Respect the fellow man, the earth and the trees, the air that we breathe to the highest mountain peak, the truth from your soul to your mouth when you speak. Like that's pretty dope line, right? That might be X's best flow of all time, right there.
Dude, I had the notes right here and you took it right from me. I know X is like originally, Humble Gods, that punk rock shit. But I think he probably shines best on these kind of songs right here. His voice, like it just fits so well. Um, his verse on here is fire, fire.
Yeah, it's so different from the other two dudes that are like more primarily coming from a rap stance. You get him in the middle of it, just it hits your ears different. It makes it stand out as well. And like we said, man, he grew up in the scene writing songs, so he always shines on these fucking songs, in my opinion.
Absolutely. They killed it on here. It was a completely new sound. This is probably like the biggest surprise of this album at the time when you're listening to it. You're like, "Whoa, what the fuck is this?" But it's dope, man, and it still holds up to this day. 20 years later, man, revisiting this album, it still hits just as hard as it did in 2002.
And it has that dope breakdown after the in the middle of the song where it breaks down, and it's like it comes back, it's like what, and then X
Yeah.
comes back like more aggressive. Sound elitist rat race, back to Babylon, keep my head straight, keep my family moving on, find my own place, create my own space, detach my whole scene from this wicked rat race. So another one, man, that X just shined on this song. So yeah, he really shined on this fucking song. And then going forward, like I said, you'll continue to hear this style, and he really stood out on these tracks. And like I said, man, not the greatest rapper, but these fucking bars he spitting this song, I don't know if somebody wrote them for him or what, but they're fucking dope as shit. I don't know if
Oh yeah.
Richter wrote them or what, but they're dope. He pulled them
Regardless,
off.
yeah, he pulled them off, and they're dope. And what a great way for Johnny Richter to like show off his singing and harmonies. No need to get loud. Like really came in fucking hard right after Daddy X, just killed it and followed it up so well. He did his thing on here, and I like how D-Lo like didn't even fucking try bother with the singing shit. Like he just came in with the rapping style, but it fits so well with the rest of the song.
That's a good Kottonmouth King song. Go all the way back to Royal Highness whenever they're blending multiple fucking styles together well. And that shines on this song, man. This could have been like a song on Royal Highness because there's so much flavor coming from it. Like I could see Dog Boy and Too Rude on this shit and then making a version of this song. So I definitely think this is a fucking standout track, and it's one of their most popular ones. I mean, they perform it to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. One of their most popular, but how did it not break radio, especially being on a major label?
And then you think about like what the scene on radio was. You think about like what's that song that had that band that had that fucking song called Butterfly Crazy Town? Like that shit
Yeah.
was on the radio, and like how, and I mean Positive Vibes is the same. Like you got rapping and singing over fucking infectious fucking beats. Like it was
Right.
perfect for radio at the time. So it's crazy it didn't get it picked up at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I
I
know
would
some.
say I'd say out of their whole discography, this is their most like radio friendly track. Even more so than Suburban Life and Dog's Life that got a lot of play on MTV. I think this one's even more fit.
Absolutely. For sure. Like this could have been a fucking big ass fucking song on the radio. Like you just, that acoustic right in the beginning, like we ready to vibe out and just fucking.
It, if Smash Mouth recorded a shitty version of this song in 2002, it'd have been a radio hit.
Ray, Sugar Ray.
Yeah, straight up.
Like straight up, like for real, it would have been a big ass hit. And again,
Yeah.
another song not about weed. It's just about positive vibes. It's exactly what the song title is.
They should have released a compilation album called Not About Weed.
Right.
And just put all their dope shit so anybody hating, you could just hand them that album.
Yep. So it's super dope shit, man. And I know some people hate on this particular style, saying it's too soft or whatever, but it's dope, man. I love this style.
Yeah, I like the variety. I mean, you get a lot of aggression that we talked about early in the album, so it's nice to have a little bit of variety on the album, kind of slow it down, especially if you're a stoner, man. You want those fucking songs you can chill out, smoke a bowl, and sing along to.
Right, exactly. Like this album, you got ups and you got like it's a roller coaster. You're going up, chilling with positive vibes, and then you go right into the next song, Zero Tolerance, and you're going fucking hard because this shit. It's just how the album plays out, and it's so dope. But
you go from positive vibes to like mosh pits in the crowd whenever that shit hits.
Yeah,
is that the one? I think Judge is on this. He's the one doing the vocals.
No, he's on Living in Fear.
Oh, right on. I was thinking that he was on here with his vocals because he's usually on these tracks like this.
Yep. But Zero Tolerance right after Positive Vibes, a great like we were just talking about. You're chilling with positive vibes, good times, and then we're back to the aggression. Another rip hop song. Love the rip hop style. Like I said, not a big punk music fan in general, but when Kottonmouth Kings does it and they blend their styles together, it's fucking super dope track. Now, and this song is a kind of what the war on drugs, pretty much. That's what they're rapping about on here.
Basically, like it almost goes back to what the material was on Royal Highness, more like fighting the system and corrupt cops and shit like that. So yeah, it's just people being treated poorly.
Yep, it's a dope track. Talking about what is it? $11 billion straight down the drain. The war on drugs has cost a lot. You shouldn't worry about me or my bag of pot. Not hurting nobody, not polluting the youth, not selling no lies. I'm only giving out truth. Like, come on, man.
What's funny is like 20 years later, like they were right. Like they were just wasting their money on the war on drugs, on weed, shit like that. And now like most fucking states have come around to figure out that the war on drugs is just a waste of everybody's money and make that shit legal.
That was a big thing in Kottonmouth Kings, the legalization of marijuana, the fight for freedom, police brutality, which we'll get into on that other song with Judge D. Like I don't know if they were ahead of their time, maybe for like some white dudes from the suburbs rapping and shit they were. Because I mean,
in the music scene, it was, because you got to think about whenever like this shit was coming out and they were getting started, like weed was still looked at as like fucking doing coke or fucking crack. It was just like an illegal drug. Like, nobody really talked about it. The only people I remember really talking about it was like Chong, Be Real from Cypress Hill, Snoop, and Kottonmouth Kings. Like there wasn't a whole lot of people other than that was just out there in your face about weed all the time. So they were taking a chance, because you got to think, like cops are hearing, like, Kottonmouth Kings are in town. Let's fucking Google or Yahoo, whatever it was back in the day when they were doing this. Let's Google what that's about, and they see it's all about weed, and they're talking about it later on the album on Endless Highway, like getting fucked with by the cops. So like
Yeah.
people were still getting fucked with when you were like coming out and promoting weed back in the day. So a lot of people didn't do it.
Yeah. And it it's crazy to think back then. Like, I remember having to go like hide in the woods to smoke and shit, being like, fucking, I hope I don't fucking get caught, get fucked with by the police and shit. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that had to do like years for fucking weed. Like, it's fucking crazy how people used to look at weed back in the day.
Still to this day, I mean, the news is now Biden is pardoning all people with simple weed offenses and shit, which is dope, man. Because you shouldn't be in fucking jail. You shouldn't be in jail for drugs. I say legalize all drugs. That's me. Just fuck it, man. If somebody chooses to do drugs, just let them fucking do it, man. If it fucks up their life, alcohol fucks up people's lives just as bad as fucking heroin, coke, fucking whatever else. And it's legal. I can go to the store right now and go buy a fucking 30 pack of Budweiser or whatever.
Yeah, and like you could drink too much of that fucking liquor that you buy at the fucking grocery store and die. And I've never heard of anybody dying from weed.
Exactly.
But that shit's still illegal in places. It's just fucking crazy. And I mean, they've been fighting that war the whole time. That's one of the things they really fucking took to. They were on the cover of High Times magazine
Yeah.
because they were so like pro fucking weed.
Yeah. Zero tolerance. Yeah. They got fucking zero tolerance for the illegalization of marijuana and all that other shit. The war on
Corrupt
fucking
cops.
drugs.
They always
Yeah.
talking about the corrupt cops, like Sane especially.
Yep. Um, but dope aggression on that track as well, on zero tolerance. And then we get into float away, up with back down to chilling again after super aggressive track with zero tolerance. Back to that kind of what did they call these type of songs? Stony vibrations, right?
Stony vibrations, yeah.
Yeah. Um, a song about reflecting on the good times. There's a lot of talk on this song about when the group first started out and shit. When I hear them talking about it, it makes me was like, fuck, man. I wish Saint was on this shit too.
In my notes, it pretty much goes verbatim of what you were saying. I said this song sounds the closest to Royal Highness Saint era Kottonmouth Kings they ever got without Saint. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. As soon as I heard it, man, I was like, this sounds like a Royal Highness track. I'm just waiting for Saint's fucking verse. Every time I close my eyes, I start to drift away, thinking about some days gone by and how it just floats away. Like just a classic fucking stoner track, man. And like I said, you got those fucking Royal Highness vibes, so I fucking prove of that. X once again at the end, man, like showing like his songwriting. He comes in, he's not rapping the shit, but he's like kind of just singing it. When your time comes and your number's up, all you have in life is what's left in your cup. When the whistle blows and the party is over, don't let them drag you out bored and sober. So like he just shines again on this shit, man. You can tell that there's a lot more X influence writing on this one for sure, even more than like Hidden Stash 2. You could see like Hidden Stash 2 start to have a little bit more like X influence. And then I'm pretty sure like High Society was basically done, written by Saint, like it was, like Royal Highness was, and they just re-recorded it. So like I think this is the first time you really see Daddy X being able to like insert himself in the songs the way he'd want to do it, instead of just kind of taking the space that was available because they needed a verse and the other two didn't want to do it, or just they needed another fucking verse on the song. Like it feels like he was actually meant to be on these songs, and a lot of the other times it feels like he's just kind of pushed into one of those songs. Like, you want to do a verse? Okay, do a verse. But
Yeah.
on this song and a lot of these songs on this album, it just seems like these songs were written with him in mind because he shines on them so much.
Yeah, for sure. His influence is definitely felt on this album, whereas not so much with the previous albums that they had released at that time. If like I remember on the DVDs, it showed them in the studio working on some of these songs, and like you could see him telling them, "Yo, do it like this, do it like that," and like really producing these guys. Because I mean, he'd been making music, doing whatever for a minute by this point, and Yeah, I mean, Daddy X, as much hate as he might get, it can't it can't be underestimated, or whatever the word I'm trying to think is, of his influence on this group and really the song structure by the time this album came out. Like the way songs were put together, it just wasn't like it was before.
And I think the reason he gets such a bad rap is people remember those later albums when like they weren't getting along and like they're not in the studio together making such great music. And he's basically just like I said, he was doing more like what he was doing on the earlier albums, just kind of jumping in and taking the space that was available to him because they weren't in there making it
Right.
together. And you could tell that. And I think that's probably the last like 5 to 10 years of the Kottonmouth Kings, how that was. So I can see people remembering that shit since it was more recent than this good shit that he was doing. Because whenever he found Richter and Loke, they were just rapping along to LL Cool J on the radio, and Daddy X
Right.
is like heard it and is like, I could do something with them dudes. Like they can rap and I can write songs, and you can really tell on this album that he helped with a lot of the songs and scored a lot of the songs as well.
Without a doubt. Um, and then we got another interlude. Pothead. Chucky Chuck is on this one. You can hear Chucky Chuck on the interlude on here, but kind of just the same. The interludes are just pretty much all just this one dude being high as fuck, talking shit. You high, motherfucker? Say what, motherfucker? But
Yeah, they're funny for a couple times, or maybe if you had heard it in like 10 years and you forget about it, and you hear it, you might laugh. But other
yeah,
than that, it's a quick skip.
yep.
I will
Uh,
say props for making it its own track and not a track at the end of or beginning of a song that you have to listen to.
yes, I like when interludes are their own songs, and you can skip them if you want to.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
And then we got Pushing Limits. Back to some more aggressive shit. Living life in the fast lane. Um, Cottonmouth Kings, they're known for getting fucked up, getting high, and doing all that shit, and that's kind of and doing a lot of crazy shit. These dudes they do motocross, skateboarding, whole bunch of shit, and that's kind of what this song is just pushing limits and fucking living life fast and hard as you can.
Yeah, when I think of this song, I think of one of those early like DVDs that they're putting out that you were talking about earlier. There was like highlights of them. There was one where like Richter's driving a monster truck up the side of a mountain. They're almost falling off of the fucking mountain. Like they're literally like 6 inches from rolling off this fucking thing. And it's got like clips of D-Lo whenever when he's talking about it in that one song where he blacked his eyes because he hit his
Yeah,
chest, and they got that footage on there. So like, I mean, they were living it, man. They were talking about how they pushed everything to the limit, and they're pushing their drinking, they're smoking, they're
yeah.
living, their performances were fucking off the chain, just straight energy. So it summed up their fucking entire attitude at the time.
The hook to the song will probably waste away and pay this price for living. You're probably gonna miss us when we're dead and we're gone. This shit is fire, man.
Sing-alongs, man, it's like anthems.
Yep.
Just once you learn them, you want to see that shit live so you can sing along for the choruses. They're also just catchy throughout the entire album. That's why
Great.
there's
And
so many songs. That's why there's so many songs on this track list that they played live. They're almost fucking anthem songs.
yeah, without a doubt. And the production, the music itself, Kumagai, it just can't be said enough how fucking great his production was. um on this album, and all the like the suburban noise shit at that time, like hard hitting. The bass was super dope, but the melodies are catchy as fuck too. That dude is, man, the unsung hero of Cottonmouth Kings, really, when it comes to the music, because he was producing some fire ass music for them.
Yeah, he's as important to Kottonmouth Kings as Mikey Clark is the Clowns. Like
Yeah,
he's the A1 option. Like if you're making a Kottonmouth Kings record and you can just fantasy pick from anything, like your producers, Kumagai.
yep. It's he fucking kills it on the production tip. I know Daddy X is credited as a producer too, but I think most of it has got to go to Kumagai.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so.
but just a fucking uh, dope ass track. Um, Pushing limits. Like I remember back in the day, there was a documentary on I think his name was like Twitch, a motocross dude, and
Yeah.
it was Kottonmouth Kings music throughout all that shit. And like, of course, it was a motocross dude because if you just watch any Kottonmouth King music video, damn near, you're gonna see dirt bikes or some shit in that motherfucker.
Straight up. Yeah, he was I think he was sponsored by SRH. I remember he got a couple like MTV documentaries or whatever, and there's always Cottonmouth Kings music playing it and shit. So that was dope to see. I remember like he was featured on a bunch of their early videos, like I was talking about. Like they would just make their own videos and just throw random clips of shit. So like they've been rocking with him probably 10 years before that MTV shit hit. So he was one of the old school fucking homies.
Yeah, without a doubt. Just a dope ass track though. And then we got another interlude. Paul, motherfucker, Paul. And then it goes into Rest of My Life. Maybe their best love song about weed, maybe? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to smoke weed for the rest of my life. This was like the song that you definitely wanted to see at a show. Like, just to chill out for a minute in between all the hard, like, crazy rip hop and hip hop shit that they'd be doing. When this song
Yeah.
would come on at a show, all the lighters would come up. Everybody's singing along to it. I love this song, man.
Yeah, at the gathering, man, when they play that shit, everybody, like you said, kind of chills out, and the weed starts getting smoked while everybody's chilling. So like it smells like weed. It just smells like the Cottonmouth Kings there. You see the smoke rising above the crowd. Perfect for the song. I think like one of the things that stood out to me we haven't talked about is during the video they spotlight a lot of fucking Cottonmouth queens. Like a lot of fucking hot chicks were around the Cottonmouth Kings, and that was dope to see, to bring in like some females to the juggalo scene and shit, that be able to go to shows and have dope ass chicks everywhere. Man, fucking Cottonmouth Kings always had them queens around, and this video, man, is full of them.
You go to a Cottonmouth King show, and it was you'd see juggalos there, but there was a whole nother crowd that was there too for Cottonmouth King show. And yeah, there was a lot of hotties at Cottonmouth King shows back in the day.
Yeah, dressed like Lita.
Yeah, facts.
Straight up.
Yep.
I think Lita got that look from like that scene.
Yeah, hell yeah. But rest of my life, man, I sometimes I want to get high. No, how does it go? I can't fucking think. I'm singing positive vibes in my fucking head right now. But I fucking love this track, man. Just a dope just song about smoking weed. But how many songs have we had about smoking weed on this album so far? I think this is the second one.
I think it's in the minority for sure. Like even mentioned, there's a couple songs that don't even really mention the fucking shit. I think it's another one that Daddy X kills at the end. Schools that let us plant trees to bear positive fruit, to nourish our youth with compassion and truth, then enlighten the minds with the deepest roots, all the way to the core where the souls can stay true, and I can rock free with a joy in my hand. I can plant plants right upon my land. Like he's really good on this fucking album, man. Like I was telling about, I think he smashed into a lot of like rap produced fucking songs that he doesn't work well with a lot of times. But whenever he works with the fucking shit, man, he's up there with the rest of them.
Yeah,
And then like you're talking about like, I'm gonna smoke weed for the rest of my life. You find me posted on the porch, toking on a pipe. I'm gonna smoke weed for the rest of my life. See, I'm love with Mary Jane. I'm gonna make her my wife. Like AirPod head gonna sing along with that, sitting there on your front porch smoking the fucking pipe, just singing along to that shit. It's one of those stony vibration songs we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I know we're giving X like crazy props for this album, but he's not on this album, so like he's not stealing anything from anybody else on the album. Like his parts are still in the minority on this album. Like it's still mainly Richter and Loke all over this album, but yeah, his parts on here are fucking fire.
Yeah, because you see a lot more rip hop and just rock inspired tracks, and like we said, those are the ones he shines on. I mean, you could say Richter and Lowe do their thing every fucking song, like as far as putting down verses that are dope, but like what stands out is the different shit, like I was talking about, the variety, and that's what X has been bringing, man. Like I gotta give him his props when they're due, and he's been schooling it so far on this album.
Absolutely. And then the next song we got Living in Fear featuring Judge D. This almost sounds like it was a Judge D song, and they were like, "Yo, this shit's kind of fire. Can we get that shit?" And
And
then
they
they
did
just,
that with Too Rude
yep,
before.
like because he's on the hook on this shit. He has two verses on here, and then Loke, Richter, and X they got like these short little like 4 8 bar verses, but it's a fucking another aggressive ass track. Not rip hop, but it's like it's hard to explain Kumagai's style because it was so different from anything else that you heard. Like the sounds that he was using, nobody else was using the sounds that he was using.
That's what set a lot of it apart. I think like what they used this song for on the album was basically like a sampler. Like instead of putting out Fat or Whack where you promote your shit, they're like, this dude's on SRH. We're trying to pop him. We're gonna put this song on the fucking album. It's like them jumping on there the way that like when Most Tasteless came out, it said like songs featuring ICP real big on it. So like they just did the opposite of that, where they let their homie jump on their fucking album to pop him because they knew a lot more people was gonna hear that shit.
Yeah. And Judge D's voice is dope, like super aggressive. I
He'll
love
make
this
you
shit.
catch a case. His boys make you catch a case quick as shit.
Yeah, hell yeah. This is straight up mosh pit music. Straight up mosh pit shit. Like love this shit. I love the
It's like
hook. God.
Zach from Rage Against the Machine. His voice will make you catch a
Yes.
case too, and
Yeah.
that's the only other dude I've ever thought of. As soon as you hear his voice, you're ready to punch somebody in the throat.
Just angry as fuck. Just angry, almost like borderline screaming, but still rapping. Like, yeah, definitely like Zach from Rage for sure. But I love the message of the song because it's like, um, uh, I'm trying to think of what they say. Um, what is it? Living in fear of hate. Their knights. Uh, what is it? Boots, nightsticks, and mace. The way he says it is so dope. Like just living in fear of like the cops, the kind of just the government and just people telling you what to do. They only show you what they want you to hear. They only tell you like that shit is fire. I love that shit.
I mean, we're only like 10 years past like the LA riots and shit for all that
Mm.
fucking shit going on, with like cops beating people for no fucking reason and it being hidden. It was before people had cell phones and could fucking record it themselves and fucking put the bastards out on fucking social media. So like this is still a time before people had cell phones, so cops were still getting away with dirty ass shit, man. So they wrote a fucking track about it, and they're from that, they're from that fucking side of the world, so they know how that shit goes on the West Coast.
Yeah. And to give props to Daddy X again, his verse on here is fucking fire. Um, what does he say? So if money can't be eaten and freedom can't be bought, you speak of free thinking, they'll incarcerate your thought. That shit crazy, man. That shit is fire. They're all about the freedom of speech. They're all about just, even though it's aggressive, the meaning behind it is, um, we just want to be free, live normally without just being in fear of what being fucking told to do and following your rules and all this other shit.
This is another song that whenever I listened to it, making notes, I was like, man, I like to hear Saint on this one.
Yeah.
This is right up his alley, man.
This album I think of all the albums that they did after Johnny Richter joined, this was the album where it was like Saint would be good on this song. Saint would be good on this song. Like the Stony Vibration songs, Saint would fit on those songs. He loved that shit, man. Like you go on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of songs of him just playing acoustic guitar and singing shit. Like he would have fit perfectly. And there's plenty of aggression on here for Saint as well because he was so great at that aggressive shit too.
And he would have also brought that different flavor. It just been an extra fucking flavor because you got his like West Coast fucking gangster rap influence fucking style going over like his Rage Against the Machine ethics. So you got just another flavor added to the fucking pot it's already producing. It's pretty fucking dope ass fucking flavors.
Yes, sir. Um, Dope ass track. And then we got Subnoise Rats. This one, I don't even know if it's rip hop. This is just a straight up punk song right here. Um, and this is the one song on the album that I'll skip, only because it is just a straight punk song. It's okay. Every once in a while, I will listen to it straight through. It's just a it's an okay song. Like if they did mix in some rapping on here, I'd probably be more apt to listen to it like Full Throttle and songs like that. But it is the one song I do skip on the album.
Same for me. it hits me. It hits me like Spies from Royal Highness, the one that it's kind of like a super aggressive right of the thing. And if I'm gonna skip one in Royal Highness, it's Spies, and with Rollin Stoned is this one. I think I've also like seen it so many times in concert. Like the best way to see it is in concert. They
Yeah,
usually do the fucking death wall where they tell the people to separate to each side of the fucking venue, and then whenever the song starts, like start running at each other. So once you've seen that live, I don't think like just hearing a recording of that's ever going to stand up. I think that kind of helps out to me wanting to skip it as well. But yeah, that's the one song I'm going to skip on this album if I'm going to skip one.
yeah, absolutely. And even in the music video, they even show that with the music video for this song, where they show them splitting up the pit and fucking. I remember that shit, and that shit be scary as hell. You're
That
like,
shit's scary.
yeah, like if I fall, I'm getting trampled like bad too.
Yeah, like that shit's more treacherous than like a Slipknot, just regular mosh pit where you're just moshing. Like it's way more dangerous when you got like 30 motherfuckers just rushing at you full speed. Like you fall down, man, you're done.
Right.
You're getting trampled.
Absolutely. It's
But that shit was also fun too. Whenever they would do it,
it's a definitely, like you said, definitely a song better live than it is on the album. Just because you
you get
got
to
the
sit.
experience.
You got Lou Dog up there playing the fucking lowrider drums to it. That
Yeah.
works real well live. So yeah, definitely a live song. It's probably why I tend to
Ta-
skip it on the
you
on
got you
the
got you got fucking Taxman crowd surfing and shit.
yeah, with a megaphone like Jimmy Hart.
Yeah. And then we go into Strange Days. We got a song about getting fucking high. Strange Days, back and forth from Loken Richter again. Just legendary shit. They're back and forth. It just can't be stated enough. I love when rap groups do that. Yeah, you could just spit a 16 and then I'll spit a 16. But when you're going back line for line, like that shit's dope. And it
and
takes
you also
skill.
know more than likely they're doing that shit together, line by line. It's not I'll do a verse and send you a verse over email and you reply to it. Like more than likely they're fucking making that shit line for line together.
Right. They're sitting there in the studio, getting high, getting drunk, doing whatever the fuck they're doing, writing this shit down. They could be recording it as they go too. Shit.
This is a song that worked really well on they had the Kottonmouth Kings experience. They made like almost an
Yep.
acid trip, like you're supposed to take acid and watch the shit. And this
Yep.
song, I remember this song standing out, working really well. And then also it was on there was a music video for it on the Kottonmouth Kings anthology DVD. I think it came with the Joint Ventures album. That's my
Yep.
favorite DVD. It looks like the top of like a sewer,
Yep.
and it's got like every fucking video they put out up till then. There's like 30 videos on that motherfucker, and that's one of them. That's on that is Strange Days. It's pretty much like I was talking about. They just got a video camera and went and recorded wherever they were for that day. Song's pretty dope, man. The chorus is catchy. Everything looks the same, but everything feels so differently. And I don't know if it's all in my head or if I'm losing my sanity. My smoking, my drinking is clogging my thinking. That's what they all keep telling me. The faces and places keep changing, they're racing, and everything feels so strange to me.
Dude,
So just
Daddy
another
X.
dope. I know it, man. X is the standout. Like X almost steals this album like Saint did Royal Highness.
Yeah. And he has the minority parts. Like he's mainly doing hooks and shit on this album, but his parts are just so goddamn good. Like when you were rapping it, it's kind of tongue twistery. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the way it chops
is
together.
word. When you think Daddy X, you don't think complicated wordplay in his verses.
Right. No,
And
you
that's
don't.
what he's doing on this shit. And he's
Yeah.
fucking. I think he's still in the show. I mean, we've talked about him more than anybody on this fucking thing. And I know me and you are huge fans of Loken Richter. And like I said, they school it on this fucking album. But it's just Saint, man. Or it's just fucking Daddy X standing out like Saint did on fucking Royal Highness.
That's funny because preparing for this review, I was not expecting to give Daddy X so many props like this.
Nope, me either. And then listening to it, it was just every time I wrote a note, man, it was usually like Daddy X's verse or the fucking chorus that he probably wrote or sang
Yep.
on. So I mean, he just schools it. I've got it in my notes as well. Loke kills it on this fucking one, and I just think it was one of those songs where they could literally make a song in 2 hours and it'd be dope at that point. Everybody was just on point with what everybody else was doing. It just fit like a fucking glove together. And we were talking about it. X is just fucking schooling it. Loke and Richter was always schooling it. And they were just in their bag in this one, man. This is the prime of Kottonmouth Kings songwriting.
Without a doubt. And you brought up the Kottonmouth experience. I don't know if I've ever shared this on a podcast before, but this album came out 02. I was experimenting. I was doing a lot of shit I probably shouldn't have been doing. But I remember when Kottonmouth Experience came out, that was after this album. I don't
think
remember.
so.
But yeah, that with that DVD, I remember I ate a ton of fucking mushrooms, too many, and I started freaking the fuck out. And I literally I was at my buddy's house. I literally grabbed a pillow, grabbed a blanket, was laying on the floor watching that Kottonmouth Experience for like 5 hours. I was like,
shit.
This is the only thing that's going to keep me sane tonight. Like I was so gone out of my mind, dude.
Damn, this is the only thing on my level right now.
Yeah, like just watching that shit and like I remember I was in the dark and just like I had tons of visuals anyway, and that shit.
Oh shit!
I was like, God damn! But it was the only thing that kept me sane. So I do got to give thanks to Kottonmouth Kings and the Kottonmouth Experience for not making me lose my mind.
Beneath the Dirt might not exist if it wasn't for Kottonmouth King Experience.
Yeah, and that was actually the last time I did that shit. I was like, nope, never doing that shit again. Oh my God, I was way too fucked up.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that was your last fucking time.
Or like literally, my buddy would like I had a few of my buddies there, and they're like, "Are you gonna come out from under that blanket?" I'm like, "Nope." Nope. This is my fucking. This is
my world right now.
Like I'm safe right now. I'm good.
Call me Linus.
Right.
In my safety blanket right now, motherfucker.
Oh my God, hilarious.
Oh yeah. We would always get like Kottonmouth Kings DVDs and Kottonmouth Kings Experience and do like X or fucking shrooms, or we had like my homie had a neighbor who like was literally a Grateful Dead, like a deadhead. Like they had a school bus in their backyard that was all painted flowery and shit. Like they were like just hippies out of the textbook, and they would sell acid and shit like right around this time, and we get acid and do fucking listen to fucking Kottonmouth Kings.
Hell yeah.
Even the Grateful Dead people would like it, like especially like Positive Vibes and shit like that. Like they would like that shit.
Yep. Tangerine Sky. How about that? We got another Stony Vibration song right here. Another song that could have been all over the radio.
Yeah, it's got the same like appeal that it could have been. Like another catchy chorus is not like specifically talking about weed or anything fucked up. Like that could have been on the radio for sure. Even MTV. Like they made a video, and this one was actually a video. It looked like it cost a little bit. There was like some production on it. It wasn't just them recording in the back of a fucking venue. So that could have been on MTV.
Yeah.
We know MTV knew about the Kottonmouth Kings. They were playing the fuck out of Suburban Life.
Oh yeah, they were licensing all their music to play during those Twitch documentaries and shit.
Yeah, Meet the Barkers is on that shit. Whenever Travis Barker smoked, they'd be playing Dog's Life.
Yeah, like they definitely knew about Kottonmouth Kings, but how songs like Tangerine Sky and Positive Vibes didn't get radio play or MTV play back in the day when they still played videos. But Richter just again showing what he's capable of outside of just rapping. Like I love Richter's singing, man. It's super dope, calming, relaxing. Like he's got a dope ass voice.
That's what I got in the notes. Is Richter tried to steal the album back from X in this one because he shines on this one. It's classic fucking Richter, man. Like I was talking about earlier, of like Where I'm Going to come on later, and just shit where he hits that melody and it's just so dope to listen to. It's crazy that that dude can sing as well as he can and also rap as well as he can. Like usually one person can do one or the other, but not both. And he just excels on it. And that's what we talked about, opening up just a whole nother sound for Kottonmouth Kings. That's what allowed them to do that. And that's what allowed X to be able to bring more of like a rock sound that we've been talking about him shining on so much. It's because Richter could fucking do the melodies that he needed to go along with those more rock style beats or those acoustic beats. And Richter could nail that shit. So I think Richter stands out on this one.
Yeah, and I have in my notes as well. I have this for a couple songs as we get towards the end of the album here. Tangerine Sky. I wouldn't have been mad if this was the last song on the album. You know, it makes sense to Tangerine Sky, the sun setting, say hello to tomorrow, and all that shit. Like, it would have been a dope way to end the album. I still like the way that they ended the album anyway, but it just had that vibe of, you know, just the sun setting and all that shit.
There's several songs that could have been the closer on this album. The one they actually used, this one, Positive Vibes, and I'm always a big fan of like closing tracks, especially like Clowns and Twisted and shit like that. So I'm not surprised that I like this album so well, because there are a few tracks on here that are dope, that are so dope they could have been the final tracks of the album.
Yeah, without a doubt. That being one of them. And then we got Built to Last. D-Loc, solo D-Loc song. The only song on the album that is a solo song from anybody in the group. And this shit is fire. D-Loc's what do we call it? Flow and like swagger on the track. It's not like super hype D-Loc. It's kind of like a chilled kind of gangster D-Loc. The Adventures of Shaky Bones the Intruder, aka D-Loc, Mr. Ginsu Master. And
it's like PTB D-Loc.
yeah, like it's smooth. The beat is fucking dope, and you know you get the scratching from Bobby B on here as well. Just a dope solo track from D-Loc. I mean, X is on the hook, but all the verses are just D-Loc.
And like what I was talking about earlier, on what they're doing with using it like the song with almost like a sampler to let people know what was coming. I think this was the ideal to let people know that D-Loc was going to have a solo album coming out. I think that was the way to kind of gauge a reaction to how people would react to like a solo D-Loc track, and kind of just, you know, whet their appetite for it, let them know it's probably coming down the pipeline. And then eventually they did put out the D-Loc shit. It also sounds like his like King Spade era rapping as well.
Yep.
He talked about Bobby B being on there. It was Bobby B, Loc, and J. Rick.
Yep. King Spade shit. When they did all the shows, it was just them three up on stage. I wish I would have caught a King Spade show. Now that I'm thinking of it, I never saw King Spade. I saw Kottonmouth Kings a handful of times, but it would have been dope to see a King Spade show.
The Kottonmouth Kings show I went to in 07 or 08, one or the other, in Cincinnati at Bogart's. Like X left the stage, and like all the dudes that weren't involved with King Spade left the stage for like 15-20 minutes, and they did like a 20-minute set of that first album. So that's the closest I ever seen. They were at the Gathering a few times. That would have been dope to see King Spade at the Gathering.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's not the first time we got a solo Kottonmouth Kings, like a solo song from a member of Kottonmouth Kings on a Kottonmouth Kings album. Hidden Stash had Every Day, which was just Sank Dog. Hidden Stash 2 had, what was it, Things I Do? That was just a Johnny Richter song.
Johnny Richter. Yep.
And then I think this was Loc's first solo. Like I said, X is on the hook, but it's primarily D-Loc on here. And X, once again, killed the fucking hook on this track. Times keep on sliding. Oh, I can't think of how it fucking goes. I don't know why, but Positive Vibes is stuck in my head right now, and I keep going back to that rhythm, and I don't know why I keep thinking it.
And that's exactly why that should have been a radio hit, because it gets stuck in your head as soon as you hear the fucking thing.
Yep. But X fucking killed the hook on here. And so did D-Loc. I love the scratching behind on the hook from Bobby B as well. Bobby B, dude, like his scratching and his DJing, like you could watch him on Twitch now, and he fucking kills it. The way he blends songs together, really, dude, he's just talented as fuck when it comes.
We talked about like talked about the live show several times. The aspect of Kottonmouth Kings being so dope live, he was a big part of it, man. Like they never sounded the same without him.
No, yeah, yeah. Towards the end, it was just I don't know. It was a whole it was a whole different vibe than it was originally.
Yeah, but anybody watching this that don't know, Bobby B does a stream on his Twitch. Just search out Bobby B on his social media. He does some dope ass shit, man. He chops up some classic fucking Kottonmouth King shit, some clown shit. So if you
Yep.
enjoyed fucking Kottonmouth Kings, check his shit out.
Yeah, without a doubt. Bobby B's fucking dope.
I still remember Bobby B coming on and blowing up that fucking ICP Kottonmouth Kings show.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
right.
Zinger would just been like talking all kinds of like lies and shit, and Bobby V just came on there, fucking sat down and just
He's
blew
like,
it all up.
he's like,
So much so,
he's like, I'm shaking right now. He's like, I don't even know where to begin.
so much so that Johnny Richter was supposed to be after him, and Richter dipped.
Yeah. He's like, fuck this.
Fuck that. Everything has been said. Now what the fuck I'm gonna say?
Right.
Oh yeah, that shit was dope.
That shit was crazy. Then we got Walking Dream. This is a dope track on the album. Not necessarily one of the standouts, in my opinion. But just kind of like it. I do like the way they mix like kind of like the stony vibrations with the rip hop a little bit. Like it's the contrast in the song is dope.
Listening to this song in my notes, I just felt like it needed something. Like they didn't have enough time to finish this song to make it a complete song to be on the level of all this other shit. Because all this other shit is so high quality and so fucking well made and well written and well produced. It just seemed like this song was maybe rushed. Like you look at the amount of songs on the album, it's not like they needed to fill a space, but that's just what I was thinking listening to it. It seems like they didn't have time to finish this song. Like it seems like something's missing. I can't name what it is that's missing from it. It's a dope song, just doesn't stand up to all these other tracks.
Agreed. It sounds like maybe if they spent more time with it or something. I completely agree with you what you were saying. Because it has the elements there to be a really good song. It's just and it's the album has 22 songs. They definitely could have cut it from the album and
yeah, it's not like that. It's not like it's a filler,
right? And it would have been nobody would have been missing it or anything. But not a bad song. I will listen to it. It doesn't get skipped, but it's there, kind of.
Yeah, nothing really stands out about it.
Right.
I'm not mad at it, and I don't love it either or.
Right, yeah. Like it comes on, I listen to it, but I'm not rocking out to it like fucking Sleepers or Positive Vibes or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we got what's up next? Soul Surfing. This song is a dope song. This was kind of back in the day for me, kind of on the same page as Waking Dream, but as listening to it now and then in recent years, I like this song more. Like it's just the way they mesh the sounds on this song is really fucking dope. The soul surfing on the punk parts, and then singing the soul surfing on the chill parts. Like I love that shit.
That's what I've got in my notes too. I said it sounds like they had more time on this song. Like this is what Waking Dream should have been. It could have came out like this if they had more time. And it's just odd that they're right beside each other to where like you almost notice it. Like this song, you know, thinking this song should have been something more, and then you listen to the next one, it's like, well, that's what it should have been. How come it didn't get to that level? Right. But yeah, I see what you're saying for sure.
Yep, exactly. It's what Waking Dream could have been. And that's why Waking Dream, if left off the album, Soul Surfing would have just been perfect right after Built to Last.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, you could take Waking Dream off of it for sure. You could take it off even more than the song that I skip. Even though I don't skip Waking Dream, it just doesn't really serve a purpose.
No, because Subnoise Rats they're not performing Waking Dream live. They're performing Subnoise Rats, and that's an experience that you need to experience. Like you need to see that crowd just completely splitting down the middle, fucking running into each other, going.
Oh yeah, it was part of the chaos of those early fucking Kottonmouth Kings show until they probably got sued and stopped doing it.
Yep, yeah. Exactly.
Like ICP with the fucking Springaling trampoline fucking Fagos. A
Right.
couple people got cracked in the head with them. You got to stop doing that shit.
Yeah, Tech Nine getting sued because Prozac, who opened up for him, some girl got fucked up and during Prozac set because his shit is super aggressive.
Try to sue him for 100 G's.
Yep.
Trying to
Yeah.
sue Tekanina for 100 grand.
That shit, man, love that
Riot
song.
Maker.
Yep, fire. And then we go into Endless Highway, one of my all-time favorite Kottonmouth King songs.
Same here.
This is another song that, even though it's a super hype song, I felt like this could have ended the album as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like just the message of it. But like you said, one of my favorite Kottonmouth King songs of all time. I talked about how I would play Positive Vibes at the bar once we got that downloadable jukebox. This would be one I started playing as well, and other people would hear it and started playing it. So that's the one that like even other people that didn't fuck with Kottonmouth Kings would just ask me what that song was and start playing it themselves. It's a dope ass track. I think it blends everything we've been talking about this album the entire time. You get everything on it in this fucking track.
Yeah, without a doubt. I love the beginning, how it builds up. In the beginning, it's nice and calm, living life on the endless highway, lost miles in between. Daddy X killing it again.
Again.
Like just, and then D-Loc and Richter, the back and forth. Yo, Richter, yo, what up, D? For the last 6 years, our life's been kind of crazy. Talking about going overseas and shit. Like,
Yeah.
just talking about being on that endless touring highway, just city to city, fucking just playing shows. I love this song, man.
It's another one where Loke and Richter's switching up during the fucking verse. You got like you were talking about with Richter starting it off, and then you got Loke following him up. Well, you know me, homie. You know I got love for everybody at a show from the club to the pub. So they're like switching off throughout it, like we were talking about that being a highlight. Like they just highlight everything they did well on this album in this song, like I was talking about.
Yeah. Um, the I remember the Endless Highway DVD because this song was the song during the main menu, and I just love the beat. I love the and then it's the rolling, rolling. I love this
Yeah,
song, man. It's so probably definitely top 10, maybe top 5 Cottonmouth King song. Like I just love this song, man. It's so good.
it's my favorite Cottonmouth King song that Saint isn't on for sure.
Yeah.
Love the fucking chorus of it, living life on the endless highway. In the endless highway, a lot of smiles in between. If you never saw the world tomorrow, we go out smoking green. You can't sell if you never bought it. There's a price to chase this dream. Living life on the endless highway, a lot of smiles in between, a lot of miles in between. So just talking about like the price of being on the road, and you talk about the Cottonmouth Kings, man, they were on the road forever. Like those dudes are from the West Coast, and they were in fucking like around Owensboro and Cincinnati and shit like every 3 months.
Yeah.
And you don't ever get like crews from the West Coast coming out here that frequently, and you don't get like Juggalo shit from like Detroit going to the West Coast that frequently. But the Cottonmouth Kings, man, they stayed on the road, they lived on the road, and that's what this song's about. Getting pulled over, like going to the city, and you get pulled over fucking early in the morning, and cops searching your bus and shit. Like I was talking about earlier, once they started getting a little notoriety about promoting weed, man, those cops are gonna try to fucking, oh, you gonna try to bring that shit to my town, boy? They're gonna try to arrest your shit as soon as you get in town. That's what this song's about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shit. Their output from Royal Highness right off the rip, their output of music mixed with touring, I don't know how they did it for so long. Like they would drop damn 2 albums a year. Like one would be a brand new album, then
A
you'd get
real
like
album.
yeah, you get a real album, then you'd get like remixes or a couple new songs, like a compilation style
Yeah.
album,
Or
and
a
then
joint
touring.
ventures or a
Yeah.
solo album by Loke. Like they just put out constant. You can see why they burn out eventually. You
Oh
can't run that hot that long. Like nobody can.
no, hell no. And they would come to Boston a couple times a year, like every Boston Cottonmouth Kings. They never came to Worcester, which is the only time they ever came to Worcester was with ICP. I don't know why Cottonmouth Kings themselves didn't come to Worcester. They would always go to the House of Blues in Boston, but House of Blues, that was a dope venue too. And but yeah, their output of music and touring, like Road Dogs, like Tech Nine, man. Tech Nine still doing it to this day. I don't know how the fuck he still does it.
And then, like I was talking about with them being on the West Coast, they're doing bus tours. They're not flying to these cities like the fucking
Right.
Foo Fighters or some shit. Like
Right.
they're on a fucking tour bus, like driving for fucking 4 days till they get to the fucking next city they're hitting. Once they like leave the West Coast, like they're on those buses and they're talking about it in the song. A lot of miles in between, and they got a lot of miles on that bus going. Like
Yeah.
we talked about, man, you're in near Boston, and that's the opposite side of the fucking country. They're in fucking Owensboro, they're in Nashville, they're in Louisville, they're in fucking Placentia, California. Those motherfuckers got some miles on that bus, and that's what the song's about.
Shit, they were all over the world. They were pretty big in Japan too.
Amsterdam, they go there for
Yep.
the fucking weed contest and shit. They
Yep.
got that video, King's Blend, where they're in Amsterdam.
Yep. Dope video. I remember that the documentary was the first time I saw good weed. And I was like, what the, like buds? I'm like, I never saw that shit before. I'm like, what is that?
Straight up, yeah. Like documentary in that video, the Cannabis Cup video, like I'd never seen the shit. Like they had those big cones they were smoking on. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and like 15 years later they came to the fucking America where I seen the shit and they got like I was used to weed being like flat, like Mexican fucking brick weed. This shit looked like golf balls, like all
Right.
fluffy and shit. Like where the
Right.
fuck you get that at?
I remember D-Lo saying that this is a golf ball high.
Straight up.
I'm like, I want that. I want that. Where is that? Like, I guess that's the California thing.
Yep. And like I seen that video before like I had internet. So like, I hadn't seen shit on the internet about how crazy like weed bars was. So I'm just watching that video, like pausing it, rewinding. It's like, God damn, is that mushrooms in the fucking
Yeah.
counter? You just buy mushrooms?
Crazy shit.
Shows like Richter holding the mushroom and he bites it and the screen goes all colorful and shit.
Yep.
So yeah, watching that as a pothead in like fucking 2002, I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking free framing shit trying to figure out what the fuck's on the fucking counter for sale.
Yep. Exactly.
They had them big bags. I'd never seen the fucking vape bags
Yeah.
where you fill up that giant bag and you press it and it goes all into somebody's lungs. I never seen
Yep.
that until that fucking thing. And then like 15 years later, I see people at fucking parties doing that shit.
Yep. Kottonmouth Kings was the first time I ever saw good weed. And then it was years before that shit ever made it to where I'm at.
Yep. They was in Cali. Like that's where that shit started.
Yep. Yeah, like you were talking about that Mexican brickweed, like you'd pull out a bud and that shit was flat as a piece of paper.
Straight up. There've been 700 pounds of weed fucking compressed into a fucking 6-pack container.
And half of it was fucking seeds. You'd break the bud and seeds would fly everywhere.
Straight up. And like yarn from tying the shit together, just be embedded into the buds, look like cotton, like pulling out cotton out of your weed. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my God.
Not green at all. It's like the same color as like the beneath the dirt that's written behind us.
Straight up brown shit. That Charlie Brown.
Straight up.
Oh, that's funny as hell, man. All right. And then we wrap up the album with Light It Up. Great way to end the album. Like I've said, there's a few other songs that could have ended the album, but great way to end the album. It's like a weed kumbaya right here. They're just
straight up.
Just a acoustic guitar and them just doing their thing over it. Just talking about smoking weed and a whole bunch of other shit. I love this. Dope way to end the album.
You can hear people talking in the background and like cheers in fucking beer bottles and smoking up. It reminds me of being at the gathering. It sounds like you're sitting at a campfire with all your homies at the gathering, passing the weed around, drinking, talking about the fucking shit you just seen or whatever. So I always caught gathering vibes from this song whenever I heard it. Dope ass song to end the album with. Probably the most acoustic laid back track. So I think that's probably why they picked that one. And once again, I think X stands out, but I think Richter got this one as well as my favorite parts of the song. Now, when the night is done and most people gone home and you're surrounded by your friends and then you're never alone, gather in a circle, fire up a fat cone, and if you hit it right, you'll be getting stoned all night long. Favorite song on the radio playing. Families all around you, if you know what I'm saying. So, I mean, I talked about like the gathering vibe, something. I mean, right there, verbatim, families all around, if you know what I'm saying. You play that song at the gathering while you're sitting around kicking it with homies, man, that's a good time.
Yep. You stole the words right out of my mouth. I had in my notes, this is a song that you'd play around a campfire and shit. It's just Dope way to end the album. No drums, just straight up acoustic guitar and Kottonmouth Kings doing their thing over it.
And then at the end of it, I think it's Richter again. You're just being yourself, good times is pure wealth. Now I've been through it all from the thick to the thin. I fought many battles, some I did not win. You take the good with the bad, you got to play what you dealt. And Mary's love helps to ease all the pain I felt. Just a dope way to fucking end the album and go out with like that, man. You want to like replay the album whenever this song ends because it's such a dope ass vibe.
It really is. Just a great way to end the album. And, 22 songs from on this album. Like nowadays, I'd be kind of weary if I see an album come out with that many songs. Like, I don't know. But back in the day, like it worked, man. Like it just 22 songs. I think it's like an hour, 8 minutes, or maybe a little bit longer. It's a long ass album, but it don't feel like a long album.
That's what I was going to say. There's so much variety, like we've been talking about throughout the review, that it doesn't feel like a long album because there's so much different shit for your ears to listen to. You don't get bored because it's not just one style.
Yeah. And damn near every song that comes on here, you're like, I fucking love, like, you're ready to just rock out. Like, you're ready to go.
There's probably, what is there, 19 songs taking out the interludes, 18 taking out the intro and shit, and they probably routinely play 12 to 14 of these songs in their live show. It's how good they are. It's like They're Dirt by Alice in Chains. Like if you were doing a Kottonmouth Kings greatest hits, like there would be fucking 10 songs from that album on it.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's just, dude, would you consider Rollin Stoned a classic 20 years later?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And especially like I've talked about being just so ahead of the time, like promoting the weed and fucking putting yourself out there to get fucking harassed by cops and recording your own videos, which people do now, like just being ahead of the curve. And then, like I said, it's the first time that you heard what Kottonmouth Kings was going to be for the next 10 to 15 years was this. I think like the other albums were kind of worked on a little bit before Richter was around. And then like Richter was completely on this when it opened up the door for Daddy X to write songs because he had a dude that could sing the vocals and shit. So it just opened up so many doors and so much different flavor from what you heard from Kottonmouth Kings previously. And I think it's the best. I don't think they ever topped it as far as a variety of things and just everything being flawless. There's a lot of albums moving forward. There's a lot of good shit on, but there's a lot of stuff that are misses. There's no misses on this one. I think the worst thing we could say is that I skip Sub Noise Rats because I've seen it live and it doesn't match. Like that's the only bad song on the fucking album to me that I skip.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's the live version so much better.
Right. And it's the, without a doubt, they're my favorite album with Johnny Richter. And my favorite Kottonmouth Kings record, and I know it's your favorite record, is Royal Highness. But there's an argument that could be said that this is their best album musically, I think.
And even most popular, even though we were talking about Suburban Life and Dog's Life getting that MTV play and being in Scream and shit. Like, whenever you look at streaming, it's these songs that are on the top of their chart more than Royal Highness even.
Yeah. It's just,
so I think you could definitely say it's their most popular.
Yeah. Definitely their probably, their most popular.
Because you gotta think whenever they went on after Royal Highness, they stopped playing those Royal Highness songs live, so people didn't get to see that shit as much. So like I think this album really took over as being the most popular.
Yeah, without a doubt. Their most diverse album too. I know that they messed with these sounds going forward, but it just never worked as well as it did with Rollin Stoned. Just a fucking great album, man. It just brings me back to a good time. 02 was a good time for me. Kottonmouth Kings. I still hadn't even seen Kottonmouth Kings live at that point, which was, I don't think, the first time I saw them was on the Wicked Wonka tour. That was the first time I saw Kottonmouth Kings live. That was what, 04, 05?
Oh, yeah, some early 2000s for sure.
Yeah. But, yeah, dope ass album. If you had to pick 3 songs off the album, what are they?
Go Endless Highway, Light It Up, and 420.
I'm all dope fucking tracks. I definitely go Endless Highway. I've already said that's like one of my all-time favorite songs. Built to Last, I just love that song, man. D-Lo kills it on there. X on the hook, Bobby on the hook scratching and shit. Dope. And then I probably go Rest of My Life. It's just one of their best just weed songs ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, that sing along, like I was talking about when at the closing verse that X has, man, everybody in the concert singing along with him and shit is so dope.
Hell yeah.
And the video with them Kottonmouth Queens, check that shit out, like I was talking about. Fire.
Yes. Yes. And maybe one day we can get the group back together and perform these songs once again. That would be fucking dope. But
Hell yeah.
I appreciate you joining me for this. This was fun, reliving this album, going back, listening to it again. A classic album, like we said, man. Like without a doubt, classic album.
Hell yeah. I warned y'all, man, is strap in, get you a fucking snack. It's going to be about an hour and a half. I think we went about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, we're at an hour 30 some odd minutes right now. And is dope, man. Thank you for joining me. Go check out the 5-piece on the Fago Lovers YouTube channel. Shout out Luke Dagoon, Mike Sears. Be on the lookout for more reviews. Me and Joker's Gallery, man. We have fun doing this shit. And
hell yeah.
You got any final words before we bounce up out of here?
I just remembered I made a documentary called Snoopymentary about Snoop Dogg, and for some reason, like for the first 5 months it was out, it had like 5,000 views, and then last week it got 120,000 views in 1 week. So I guess YouTube started popping it in the algorithm or something. So if anybody likes Snoop Dogg, go check that shit out.
And we all know Snoop Dogg loves the marijuanas as well. So
fits right in.
Yeah, fits right in.
Need that feature.
Yeah, exactly. That would be dope. Kottonmouth and Snoop, that'd be some shit.
Hell yeah.
All right, but we bouncing the fuck up out of here. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Much love. I'm Rollin of the Beneath the Dirt podcast. Until next time, we out. Peace.